It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to Pocono Raceway in Pocono, Pennsylvania for the running of the Gander RV Duels. In the race analysis, the two events that will take place here at the Pocono Raceway will take place over the course of 50 laps around the 2.5-mile tri-oval here in Pennsylvania. Stage number 1 of each event will end on lap number 25, so that means the stages will split each race into halves. The drivers who make the field for duel number 1 will obviously have guaranteed starting positions in duel number 2. However, the starting grid for duel 2 will be set by an inversion of all the lead lap finishers from duel number 1. Obviously, if you wreck your car hard enough but still manage to finish on the lead lap in duel 1, you are allowed to switch to a backup car for duel 2. However, you will have to start at the tail end of the field for duel 2. Expect a very different racing dynamic here at Pocono for the Gander RV Duels. That's because we're utilizing a different aerodynamic and horsepower package for this weekend, and we will also be using it next week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are utilizing the high downforce super speedway package. That means a 9-inch 70-degree standing spoiler, a very tall spoiler, but on top of that it has a 1-inch 90-degree lip at the end of it. So that produces a tremendous amount of rear-end downforce, slowing the cars down and making a very large wake behind them, which will allow for a lot of drafting and slingshots over the course of the two races here at Pocono and next week at Indianapolis. We will be utilizing the 550 horsepower package, however, that we see on super speedways, so a little bit more horsepower than what you'd see at a Daytona or Talladega, but pack racing, manipulating the draft, will become very crucial over the course of the next 3 races, the 2 here at Pocono and the Brickyard 400 next week. It was announced coming into this weekend that NASCAR will force Kyle Busch to set out the 2 additional races here at Pocono, costing Kyle Busch 3 full races in points after getting into that accident at the Bristol Motor Speedway dirt track in the Camping World Truck Series, almost injuring Ryan Unzicker. So, the replacement for Kyle Busch this weekend in the 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry is Ty Gibbs, the race team owner's grandson. And Gibbs has showed tremendous speed already in his very young career in stock car racing. A multi-time ARCA Menard Series winner, and recently in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, he won in his debut race at Palm Beach International Raceway, which is the major reason why NASCAR cleared him to run the races here at Pocono. This is a very similar developmental path as to what Joe Gibbs put Joey Logano through. Now, you may argue that Logano was a little bit rushed up to Cup, but Gibbs has showed a tremendous amount of speed all the way through the ladder so far at only a young age of 18, and we'll see how he can do in his 2 first-ever NASCAR Cup Series starts here at the Pocono Raceway. In your regular season standings entering the races here at Pocono, Kevin Harvick still sets atop the standings by 13 points above Joey Logano. Then 27 points out of the lead in 3rd position is Denny Hamlin. Tied with Hamlin is the number 9 car of Chase Elliott, who resides 4th in points due to losing the tiebreaker through top 5s. Matt DiBenedetto currently sets 5th in the standings, 42 points out of the lead. Eric Jones, 6th in points, 48 points out. Reddick, 7th, 58 points out. Larson in 8th position right now, 60 points out of the point lead. Martin Truex Jr. is in 9th in the point standing, 69 points out of the point lead. And Alex Bowman rounds out your top 10, 70 points out of the point lead. And as we near the regular season championship race at Daytona later on in the season, take a look at your playoff standings at the moment. Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Brandon Jones, Hamlin, Elliott, Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Josh Bilicki, and Jan Magnussen are all locked into the playoffs via their wins so far. Best of the rest is Joey Logano, who is 61 points above the cutoff line, Matt Benedetto 32 above, Eric Jones 26, Tyler Reddick 16, Alex Bowman 4, and Keselowski just 1 point above the cutoff line. Suarez is that 1 point out of making the playoffs. Clint Boyer, 2019 Series champion, 7 points out of making it. Allgaier 16 points out, and Chris Buescher 19 points out of making the playoffs. NASCAR invited Chip Ganassi Racing to the Pocono Raceway to conduct the first next-generation car test with more than 2 cars. So the 3 drivers that compete full-time for them in NASCAR's Cup Series, Half, Kurt Busch, and Allgaier were present. But that Chip Ganassi Racing primer car that you see right there is being driven by Matt Kenseth, 2-time Daytona 500 champion and 2003 Cup Series titleist. Unfortunately, his full-time career came to an end here at Pocono Raceway last season. He was contacted by the race team of whether or not he wanted to come out here and test an additional car in the session. He agreed to it, came out here, and is running very well with the pack. NASCAR brought the exact same ultra-high downforce package for these next-generation cars to use here in the test as what you see in the NASCAR Cup Series this season at Pocono and Indianapolis. So the 9-inch spoiler and the 550 horsepower package. And what all 4 drivers noticed in comparison to the Gen 6 cars that they've raced here at Pocono in years prior is that these cars, even with a very high downforce package like what we run at Super Speedway, are a little bit more maneuverable than what we have with the Generation 6 race car. That's due to the fact that this car is a lot less aero-dependent. There's really no side force on the thing because it's built symmetrically, so you don't have that aerodynamics holding you into the corner. It's all symmetrical on the left and right side, so you really have to drive the car more in the mechanical sense, and with the independent rear suspension and wider tires, it makes up for your lack of aerodynamics. So you can drive the thing in more lanes and try to make up passes in areas that you probably couldn't make them in the Generation 6 car. As you see right here, the high downforce package is showing itself. The 40, then the car in the middle of Matt Kenseth, and the 1 of Kurt Busch working together. Looks like these 3 have pushed their way past the 42 car of Allgaier, proving the importance of draft with the high downforce package here at Pocono. This test is very inspiring for the future of the next generation car, as it has proved several important factors of reducing the aero dependency. It looks like it's a lot easier to make moves on drivers than it is currently with the Generation 6 car. All you have to do with this car is set up the move at a very opportune time, commit to your corner, and most likely you will be able to clear the car on your outside or on your inside. And it's not quite the same situation that we see nowadays with cars being held back because of the wake of air that the car ahead of them puts out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series Ride-Along segment. Today we are prepping for the 2 Gander RV Duels here at Pocono. Back in the Cup Series test car, now coming off of pit road, getting through the gears. You can tell it's a very wide front straightaway here at Pocono. Planes have landed on the front straightaway here before. Very tough pit road exit here, actually. It's very flat, enticing to try and overdrive it and get a commitment line violation right there. Here we come onto the Long Pond straightaway. It's called that because the river outside the racetrack is referred to as a long pond. But this racetrack, being a tri-oval, very unique. Each turn is based off of a turn at a famous racetrack. Turn 1 is the old Turn 1 at the Trenton Speedway. That racetrack is unfortunately long gone. It closed back in 1980 back in New Jersey. Turn 2 is a representative of a corner at Indianapolis. And Turn 3 here at Pocono is of the Milwaukee Mile. I'm sure you are very familiar with that racetrack as well. All 3 are famous facilities from IndyCar history. Now, green flag for a mock run. Very, very long front straightaway. And as you can tell, because of the very high downforce package, we're a little bit robbed of some of the power. We used to get down to turn number 1 going about 210. Now it's more like 180. Lift off the throttle just a little bit and run the car a little bit up into this PJ1 right here through turn number 1. Keeps the car secure. Down the Long Pond straightaway, not too much lifting here at Pocono and no more shifting like we used to do. This place used to drive like a road course, now it kind of drives like a super speedway. You lay the car into turn 2, burp off the throttle just a little bit to get it to set and get right back on it so you don't lose any of your momentum. This is very much a momentum racetrack with a low horsepower, high downforce package. Then you lift quite a bit, even a slight tap to the brakes entering turn number 3. It's our flattest and hardest, in my opinion, corner to get into because the car always wants to drift wide. And because the high downforce package and the amount of downforce you got on the rear end, the car is always naturally tight because you have more downforce on the rear end than on the front end, so the front doesn't want to turn. So that's why here today you'll be seeing a lot more drivers than ever before running higher lanes here, trying to keep their momentum up and stay off of that wall because the car does not have a very easy tendency at getting loose. It's always going to try and get tight and push off of these corners in comparison to back in the day. Pocono used to feel like a very free racetrack because you had a hard time getting your car to turn through the corners because all three were separate. Well, nowadays, instead of spinning, you might push up into the outside wall, especially into turn number 3 because of how enticing it is to drive into that corner because you don't lift very much in 1 or 2. But right here, you got to get off the throttle early, tap the brakes just a little bit, get the front end to set down, throttle up right here through the apex, drift out towards the wall a little bit, and there we go. That's a few laps around Pocono Raceway in a NASCAR Cup Series car with a brand new aero package. Should certainly change the dynamic of racing here today. Daniel Suarez has won the pole for duel number 1 here at the Pocono Raceway, the only driver with a sub-51 second lap time. Clinton Boyer qualified in second position in the number 14 car, searching for his first win of the season, which would lock him into the playoffs. Austin Cindric qualified in third position, Hamlin in fourth, Matt Benedetto fifth, Kevin Harvick, your regular season point leader, in sixth position, Brandon Jones in seventh, William Byron in eighth position, Eric Almirola in ninth, and Brad Keselowski rounding out your top 10. Also in a topsy-turvy qualifying session, Josh Bilicki qualified the 71 car for Tommy Baldwin Racing in 11th position. Also keep in mind that the biggest name driver who missed the field was the driver of the number 8 car for Richard Childress Racing, Tyler Reddick. He unfortunately did not make the field here at Pocono. And so now let's get down trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Nice and easy, long day. It's going to be a lot of adjustments. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. This is a real race here. We're going to have a blast tonight. I can't wait to get out there and get going.
Pace cars off. Suarez leads the field out of turn number 3 and onto the front straightaway, gearing up for duel number 1. And there's the green flag. Now we get to witness the extremely high downforce package in action with a full field of 42 cars down the very long front straightaway. There you see Alex Bowman trying to go 3 wide farther back down into turn number 1. He gets back in line. Suarez through turn number 1 will clear the outside lane with a push coming from Austin Cindric. Here comes Cindric down to the inside. He's got some help coming from a technical teammate, Matt DiBenedetto, as the outside lane loses organization. Clinton Boyer not very closed up to the back bumper of Suarez. However, there is great bumper locking on the inside line between Cindric and Benedetto side by side right now for the race lead. Suarez inches ahead of the number 21 car using the outside lane off of the tunnel turn. Well, the 21 car has to back off just a little bit into turn number 3, the hardest braking zone on this racetrack with a high downforce package. You just barely need to lift in 1 and 2, but you do need to tap the brakes in turn 3. At the start-finish line, it is Suarez to lead lap number 1 as the 14 car of Boyer moves up to push. Now the inside lane loses organization. Harrison Burton farther back, going for a 3-wide move underneath Bowman and Martin Truex Jr. as Daniel Suarez clears the inside lane. Boyer and Cindric now battling for second position. I should mention that with 51-second lap times and only a 50-lap race, this is absolutely a sprint to the finish. If you drop back due to a penalty or some sort of mistake, it's going to be almost impossible to make up that track position. Josh Bilicki doing a great job right now, staying within the top 15. That's likely due to the high downforce package. It kind of nullifies the advantage that a funded powerhouse team such as a Penske or Stewart-Haas has above an organization like Tommy Baldwin. It all comes into how you can manipulate the draft and stay in line due to the large wakes that these cars produce from the rear end now. Austin Cindric has taken up the second position, getting in line in front of the 14 car of Boyer, leaving Matt DiBenedetto down on the inside line with Brandon Jones. Jones and Keselowski, along with DiBenedetto, kind of on an island all by themselves. Looks like they may be freight trained in the coming laps if the outside lane keeps this organization going. But farther back, Kevin Harvick forces Denny Hamlin a little bit wide, and as you can see, right up in front of the race leaders is Chase Elliott. He had to make an unscheduled pit stop for a loose wheel. They must have not gotten the wheel tight when they were prepping the car for the start of the race, so already Chase Elliott is very far in the back. If Chase Elliott can stay in front of the race leaders, though, we will at least have the caution on lap 25 for stage number 1, so he will be able to at least get back in line and potentially have a shot at bettering his finishing position. But an unfortunate story for the number 9 team already, being 47 seconds back on lap number 4. As you can tell, the 20 and 2 cars of Brandon Jones and Matt Benedetto have jumped up into the outside lane, leaving Keselowski all by himself on the inside, still trying to make it work through the tunnel turn. But it looks like Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick are going to push their way past him. Right there, though, a gap has formed between Hamlin and Harvick. Keselowski might be able to jump up into that gap. Clinton Boyer goes a little bit wide on the entry to turn number 3, let the 2-car De Benedetto to his inside. Right now, not enough organization for De Benedetto to try and clear the 14 of Boyer. At the moment, we still have the 00 car of Suarez out front. More or less the entire field running single file at the moment. But pack racing here at Pocono, definitely not something that you would have expected in years past. This track used to see a lot of strung out races where cars would get around 10 or 15 second leads as the strategy would wear on. But right now, absolutely pack racing with the number 21 car of Cindric backing up just a little bit, trying to get a run from the 14 car of Boyer to have a shot at closing the gap up to the 00 of Suarez. The draft is so crucial here that if you back up that run just a little bit, it slows down the race leader and you can push your way potentially past the race leader in a slingshot style move. Because of the 550 package, the racing that you're going to see here is a little bit more like what we used to see at plate tracks such as Daytona or Talladega before we actually instituted the restrictor plate, because there's still quite a bit more throttle response than what you'd see at Daytona or Talladega, which is going to allow drivers to pull off slingshots over the course of these 2 dual races. We have Eric Almirola on the inside of William Byron farther back. These 2 battle for 9th position. Almirola takes up the spot, with now the 71 and 26 of Bilicki and Ankrum battling for track position through the tunnel turn. 26 car gets a little loose on entry, drops back, and Bilicki takes up the spot with a push coming from Buescher. Up front, the 00 car of Suarez has caught up to the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Almost certainly have to try and figure out a way around because Elliott's a little bit off the pace. Not due to damage or anything of that sort, but due to him not having any drafting partners at the moment, being caught at the tail end of the lead lap. He's just much slower than the race leaders. Right now, Suarez on the inside. Looks like he's going to put Chase Elliott down 1 lap. Cindric in line behind the 9 car. The number 14 of Boyer looks down to the inside, hoping to get around the number 9 car of Chase Elliott. Cindric and Elliott working together right now. Cindric trying to use Elliott as a drafting partner. They run a little bit deep into the tunnel turn, forcing the 9 car to run a bit of a wide line. And because Chase Elliott has now dropped 1 lap down, that means that he will not be in the pole position for duel number 2. We're going to invert the lead lap finishers from duel 1 to duel 2. And because Chase Elliott is now 1 lap down, he would still start in last position for duel 2. Using the draft up on the outside lane, Brandon Jones looks like he is going to make his way around the 14 car of Boyer, but Boyer sends it in into turn number 1. 20 car of Jones actually pushes on the exit of the corner, and Boyer retakes the 3rd position. He's got help coming from Denny Hamlin, and farther back, Brad Keselowski. Also look at De Benedetto and Harvick tandeming right there down the Long Pond straightaway. Definitely not something you would have seen here last season, but especially not in years past when we used to turn about 210 miles an hour down to turn number 1. Racing like this was completely impossible at Pocono in years past. As you recall, we actually used to shift at this racetrack due to it being similar to a road course with the different radius turns and different attributes of each corner. But nowadays, with the pack racing aero package, it's almost full throttle all the way around. Oh, Boyer makes contact with Elliott, hard into the inside wall, up in front of the field. A huge mess entering turn number 1 as Boyer goes over. An absolutely horrific crash entering turn number 1 that has taken out at least 20 cars in a Big One style incident. Daniel Suarez is still your race leader. Denny Hamlin drove through the madness to take up 2nd position. Austin Cindric also survived into 3rd spot, and Brandon Jones currently resides in 4th. Racing back to the start-finish line, Hamlin is about 3 car lengths back from the 00 car of Suarez. Suarez is your race leader back to the stripe. Hamlin 2nd, Cindric 3rd, Brandon Jones in 4th, and 5th position was actually taken by Tyler Ankrum, avoiding all the carnage and taking up quite a few positions in the last lap. Well, we are utilizing a pack racing aero package here at Pocono, so I guess a big one was in a way expected. Clint Boyer goes up to side draft the lap car of Chase Elliott, because he's obviously trying to get around Elliott as fast as possible to have a shot at the race leader. And just look at this impact for the 9 car of Elliott. Almost straight into the inside wall, ricochets back up into traffic, takes out the 4 car of Harvick, the 2 of DiBenedetto, then Boyer gets up into the wall, gets hit by the 71 of Blicky, goes over, Martin Truex Jr. involved, Ty Gibbs has nowhere to go, gets involved in an accident in his first career Cup Series start, Kurt Busch involved in this one, Myatt Snyder with heavy damage, Austin Dillon has absolutely nowhere to go. Justin Haley, the 96 of Drew Herring, 42 car of Justin Allgaier. Absolutely nowhere for these competitors to go when this accident started. The entire racetrack was clogged. Joey Logano managed to actually miss it all the way back in the field. AJ Allmendinger in his return to JTG Doherty Racing, unfortunately, gets involved in the accident as well. Corey LaJoie in this one. A tremendous amount of cars involved in this accident. Both Chase Elliott and Clint Boyer have gotten out of their race cars under their own power. It's an incredible testament to the safety of this sport. As you can tell, Boyer gets hit by the number 71 car Blicky. Fortunately, the 71 of Blicky had already checked up a little bit before he got to the 14 car of Boyer. The safety features the NASCAR has put in since, in particular, Kansas accident last season here at Pocono have definitely shown their strengths here today. And I'll tell you what, this straight shot hard into the inside wall for Chase Elliott, almost a direct hit into the retaining wall. Thank God for safer barriers and Hans devices, because this would have been a much, much worse sight had this accident occurred about just 20 years ago. I don't know if Elliott would have gotten out of the car under his own power under those circumstances. Chase Elliott hit this wall going about 185 miles an hour as he was ramped down the banking from the 14 car of Boyer. An absolutely terrifying accident here at Pocono Raceway. You know, safety has always been a big concern at this racetrack, especially after last year's incident with Matt Kenseth. IndyCar recently has abandoned this place due to safety concerns with, the Robert Wickens incident, then the Lap 1 crash in 2019. NASCAR might need to consider altering this racetrack a little bit, because we obviously had that terrible accident with Matt Kenseth last season, and this one, even knowing no injuries from it, it was still a very, very scary incident in turn number 1 here at the Pocono Raceway. And now I'm sure that Boyer and Elliott are most likely not going to be very happy with each other after this one, especially with Elliott being 1 lap down and racing with the leaders, which is what ultimately led to this type of incident occurring. But I'm sure that at the same time, both drivers understand what could have happened in that accident and how it potentially could have injured a few drivers had things gone a little bit worse. So we definitely dodged a bullet on that one. Quite a few cars are now out of the races now. Daniel Suarez leads the field into the pits for the first time. And the first car off of pit road is Daniel Suarez getting out as the race leader above the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, 20 of Brandon Jones, 26 of Tyler Ankrum, and 95 of Harrison Burton. After surviving the accident, the top 10 has definitely changed quite a bit. This race now marks the second consecutive race that Kevin Harvick has DNF'd after being involved in that gigantic wreck entering turn number 1. Once again, this means that this is another giant opportunity for Joey Logano to make up points on the regular season point leader. He did not capitalize last week after Harvick wrecked out on lap number 9, but he definitely could capitalize here today. The full list of cars out of the race after that gigantic accident entering turn number 1 is the 18 car of Ty Gibbs, unfortunately DNFing in his first career NASCAR Cup Series start. Kevin Harvick, the regular season point leader, will not finish the race. Then Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, who unfortunately has his recent string of good races getting broken. Then the 41 of Cole Custer, 71 of Josh Blicky, who had nowhere to go in that accident. Matt DiBenedetto in the 2 car, Myatt Snyder, Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Clint Boyer after surviving a horrific accident, barrel rolling through turn number 1. The 7 of Corey LaJoie, the 77 of Justin Haley, 96 of Drew Herring, 37 of Eric Jones, and finally the 9 car of Chase Elliott, who suffered a horrific impact on the front straightaway safer barrier. That is by far the worst accident I've probably seen in a stock car race here at Pocono, and we have had some very horrible accidents here. First ones that come to mind are, obviously Bobby Allison's career-ending incident in the tunnel turn back in 1988. Greg Sachs going over in turn 1. Jeff Gordon's hard hit. Kenny Schrader's. More recently, Matt Kenseth's career-ending accident here on the short chute. But that is by far the most cars I've ever seen wreck out in one single crash here at Pocono. Now, you could say that is the nature of pack racing, but in a way, it was kind of surprising seeing the funnel down to turn number 1 backfire with the pack racing package, because it really did leave the drivers with almost nowhere to miss the incident. We obviously wish that we could just avoid incidents like this altogether, but when drivers are pushing it to the absolute limit, going for every single bit of real estate that they can get, crashes like this, quite frankly, are inevitable. So we now just have 26 cars running in today's event after 13 laps here at Pocono. That definitely means that we have a lot of cars that will be starting out back for duel number 2 as well, including names such as Truex, Harvick, Boyer, and Elliott that will be trapped in the back because they are not going to be lead lap finishers. They've already DNF'd from this event. It looks like, with the exception of Hamlin, Larson, and Logano, we may be set up for an upset winner here in duel number 1 at Pocono. After such a large accident, it has taken out a lot of the front-running cars. Pace car hits pit road. Suarez leads the field into the restart zone on the front straightaway on lap number 13. There's the green flag. Suarez gets a pretty good jump on the number 11 car of Denny Hamlin down into turn number 1. 95 car of Harrison Burton trying to make up track position down there on the bottom, although he's more or less by himself. Burton jumps back in the line in 5th position. 20 car of Brandon Jones all over the back bumper of his teammate Denny Hamlin, trying to push each other down the Long Pond straightaway. Entering the tunnel turn, the field very tightly bunched. 11 car of Hamlin right up on the back bumper of Suarez. Suarez has a very great handling race car right now. The car is likely trimmed out just a little bit because they were able to score the pole by about 0.3 of a second advantage on the rest of the field. And right now, that car is handling great in clean air. But here comes Hamlin to the inside, gets the advantage on the exit of turn number 3. He's got his teammate Brandon Jones in line behind him. Gibbs' teammates tandeming their way past the 00 car of Suarez. Hamlin side by side with the 00 through turn number 1. And Suarez pushes a little bit on the exit of turn number 1. Circuit of the Americas winner Denny Hamlin is now out front here at Pocono. Brandon Jones kind of by himself down on the inside. Looks like he may be getting some help from the 95 of Harrison Burton. Burton, though, jumps up to the outside of the 20 car of Brandon Jones. Suarez shoots by up on the top as well. Suarez stops the bleeding in 2nd position. 3-wide battle farther back. 21 car of Cindric to the inside of Gralla and Ankrum. Looks like Ankrum's going to be using the draft to hold the position. That moves the 26 car up into 5th spot. Through turn number 1, the 95 car of Harrison Burton has dropped off just a little bit from the 00 car of Suarez, likely trying to get some help from the 20 of Brandon Jones. Toyota car is currently doing the best of anyone at organizing and trying to keep their cars out front, as Jones and Hamlin work together to get the 11 car the race lead. Currently, Jones is trying to work with Harrison Burton to make it a TRD top 3 if they can shuffle the 00 car out of this group. And look at this battle for position. Gralla going 3 wide to the inside of Jones and Ankrum. That 26 car is definitely moving through the field quickly. Ankrum is showing a lot of pace right now, currently being pushed by the 40 car of Quinn Half as the 50 of Gralla drops back. How about this run, by the way, for the 23 car of Bubba Wallace? He missed the race last week at Bristol, now currently resides in 10th position, battling with Ryan Preece for 9th spot. Wallace takes up the position. Suarez all over the back bumper of the 11 car of Hamlin right now, with about 8 laps to go in stage number 1. If that's any indication of how short this race is, definitely a sprint as we are approaching the halfway point already. Suarez getting a run on the 11 car of Hamlin, trying to look down to the inside, close the gap right up to the back bumper of the 11. Brandon Jones looks to the inside the 95 right now as Suarez pushes the 11 car of Hamlin down to turn number 1. Jones side by side with Ankrum on the exit of turn number 1. Looks like Jones is going to hold serve in 4th position. Now cuts up in line in front of the 26. We have about a 7 car breakaway above the field at the moment. Daniel Suarez runs it just a little bit deep into turn number 3, pulls the crossover on the 11 car of Hamlin, cuts down to the inside, diamonding the corner. Side by side at the start-finish line. It's the 11 car of Hamlin to hold it at the moment. He does not have much drafting help coming from behind. As the 95 and 20 cars were battling for position, they dropped off the 11 car of Hamlin. Suarez sends it into turn number 1, side by side for the top spot. Hamlin pushes on the exit of the corner, and Suarez back out front. 11 car of Hamlin still dropping back as he cut right up in front of the 95 and 20 cars. Now the Toyota is trying to push their way through the Long Pond straightaway and into the tunnel turn. Farther back, the 23 car of Bubba Wallace is starting to close the gap up to the front runners, as there's been a bit of a lead car breakaway. 95 car of Burton to the inside, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Burton side drafts the 11 car down the front straightaway. He's got some help coming from the 26 car of Ankrum, but Burton jumps up into the outside lane, leaving Ankrum by himself on the inside. Ankrum dives it into the first turn, gets side by side with Jones, and now Ankrum looks like he's going to take up the 4th position down the Long Pond straightaway, cutting up in line in front of the 20. 40 car of Quinn Half pushing now the 20 car of Brandon Jones, as the 11 of Hamlin has closed right up to the back bumper of the 00 of Suarez. Lap car right up in front of race leader Suarez. It is his teammate and last week's winner, Chase Briscoe. 11 car of Hamlin sends it a little bit deep into turn number 3. 3-wide battle farther back. Ankrum up on the outside. Jones in the middle. Half on the bottom. Looks like Ankrum's going to get the advantage. And Hamlin retakes the 2nd position. There's the very slow lap car of Chase Briscoe right up in front of the field. The leaders take evasive action. Grella gets boxed in just a little bit. That lets Wallace to his inside to move up one more position. Now just 5 laps to go in stage number 1. Daniel Suarez trying to take home the stage victory. Currently, the car that would get the pole position for duel number 2 would be the 34 of Michael McDowell if they opt to not go to a backup car. 95 of Harrison Burton back to the inside. The 11 of Hamlin trying to side draft him down the front straightaway, but Hamlin will use the tow from the 00 car of Suarez to once again re-clear the 95 car and take up 2nd. The field fans out farther back as they're trying to get around the lap car of Chase Briscoe. 4-wide racing even. And the number 22 car of Joe Logano once again is not able to capitalize on the struggles of the 4 car of Harvick. A contact farther back, 53 car up into the outside wall. Briscoe carries the 42 car of Allgaier into the wall, but we remain green. Side-by-side battle for position. 26 car clears the 20 of Brandon Jones once again. Ankrum still holding the 4th position. Down the front straightaway, the top 5 cars have formed a very close draft. Also, the 21 car of Cindric in 6th position has joined this front pack. 40 of Quinn Half has started to drop back. Right now, the 95 of Harrison Burton is trying to push the 11 car of Hamlin back into the race lead. 53 car of Briscoe is on pit road for the damage that he suffered getting up into the outside wall with the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Hamlin looks up to the outside, the 00 car of Suarez, trying to pull the same crossover that Suarez pulled on him to get the race lead. Now side by side down the front straightaway. Suarez does not have any drafting help coming from behind. Side by side down the front stretch, Hamlin still trying to pressure him into turn number 1. Suarez losing some momentum as the 11 car gets some help from the 95 of Harrison Burton. Suarez pushes on the exit of turn number 1, and Denny Hamlin is back out front down the Long Pond straightaway. 95 of Burton side by side with the 00 car of Suarez. Ankrum right up to the back bumper of the 00. Suarez dives it into the tunnel turn. Looks like he's going to clear the 95 once again and take up 2nd. In fact, he's already got a run on the 11 car of Hamlin. Into turn number 3. Hamlin goes a little bit shallow on his entry, allows the 00 car to close the gap. Now gets back side by side as now Hamlin sees the white flag in stage number 1. Suarez very close at the stripe with Hamlin, but Hamlin holds the advantage at the start-finish line down into turn number 1. Suarez getting some drafting help from the 95 of Burton. Into the first turn, Daniel Suarez is now back out front. Harrison Burton still trying to take up 2nd in the 95 car for Levine Family Racing as Suarez has cleared the outside lane. Into the tunnel turn, 11 and 95 cars still run side by side. Hamlin looks like he's going to take it. Up on the outside, getting some help from the 26 car of Ankrum. It's all going to come down to turn number 3 for the 2nd position as Suarez has gapped the field enough to where there's no heat from behind. Out of turn number 3 and onto the front straightaway, Daniel Suarez, your pole sitter here at Pocono, will win stage number 1 in Duel 1 at the Pocono Raceway. Denny Hamlin brings the 11 car home in second position, 95 of Harrison Burton in third, 26 of Ankrum in fourth position, and 20 of Brandon Jones in fifth spot. So here's what happened to Chase Briscoe farther back in the field. Very slow right up in front of the 99 of Ryan Preece. Preece slides up and makes contact with the 53 car of Briscoe, turning Briscoe down to the 42 of Allgaier and up into the outside wall. Fortunately, the 48 car of Bowman avoided the incident, but this crash actually knocked the number 53 car of Briscoe officially out of the race. And so now, after just a quick commercial break, we'll be back right here at the Pocono Raceway for the final stage of Duel number 1. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. This time by the 00 car of Suarez leads most of the lead lap cars on the pit road, with Hamlin, Burton, Ankrum, Half, and Wallace all coming into the pits. However, we have a couple of cars staying out. Brandon Jones will assume the race lead in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, above the 21 of Austin Cindric and 61 of Christopher Bell. So these three front runners are taking a gamble on tires for track position. And the first car off pit road is Daniel Suarez getting out in front of the 11 car of Hamlin, the 95 of Harrison Burton, 26 of Ankrum, and 23 of Bubba Wallace. So they will start fourth on back. You know, it's still been rather difficult to pass here at the Pocono Raceway. Not quite as difficult as it was last season with the medium downforce package. It's a little bit easier with pack racing here because you can try and set up those slingshots to take the top spot. But it will most likely be a very interesting strategy for these top three runners opting to stay out to see if they can stay ahead of the competition even on about 10 or 15 lap older tires. And it might be possible with the dirty air here at Pocono. You know, this has been such a race of attrition after that gigantic accident earlier in the race that I genuinely think that the lowest car that will not switch to a backup or has not already DNF'd and will start on the pole will likely be Ryan Preece in the 99 car. He's in 15th position, but the cars behind him are pretty significantly damaged. So I would likely expect only really a top 15 inversion from Duel 1 to Duel 2, but we'll see how it goes if any of these organizations opt to repair their cars instead of go to backups. Pace car hits pit road. Brandon Jones, the most recent winner here at Pocono, leads the field into the restart zone for the start of stage number 2. And there's the green flag. This time it looks like the 21 car of Cindric gets the advantage on the restart. Here comes the 00 car of Suarez to the inside. First car on fresh tires. Trying to make up track position already, but it looks like he's going to have to get back in line behind the 61 of Bell. Well, maybe not. He's rolling great momentum. In the apex of turn number 1, looks like Suarez already up in the third spot. Going to cut up in line in front of the 61 of Bell, as we have three Toyotas in line right there trying to push their way down the Long Pond straightaway. 21 car bump drafting with the 20 out front. Tyler Ankrum up on the outside lane has gotten around the 23 car of Bubba Wallace. That moves Ankrum up into 7th position. Now he tries to get down to the inside, the 95 of Harrison Burton. We got a battle for position between the 00 and 21. That's the battle for second spot between Suarez and Cindric. Suarez tries side drafting the 21 car down the front straightaway. Still side by side entering turn number 1 as the 21 car drafts with the 20 into the first turn. Here comes Suarez down on the inside, really dives into the corner, forces Brandon Jones to back off the throttle, and Suarez goes from third to first in one turn. Daniel Suarez back out front. He will not be denied the race lead in today's event. Has not scored a career win in more than a season, but looks like today might be his day. Denny Hamlin currently battling with his teammate Brandon Jones down on the inside. Hamlin with a pretty significant tire advantage right now. They almost made contact on the entry to turn number 3, and Hamlin takes away the second position once again. Tyler Ankrum down on the inside. Looks like he's going to be taking up third spot in the 26 car for GMS Racing. Here comes the 95 of Harrison Burton trying to go 3 wide into the first turn. Burton got back in the line now to the inside. The 26 car of Ankrum forces Ankrum wide, and currently holds the 5th position. Going to try and cut up in line, and he does so, clearing the 26 car down the Long Pond straightaway. 61 of Christopher Bell has been dropping off very quickly on those older tires. Now almost outside of the top 10 as Landon Castle gets around him on the inside in the 89 car. 20 car of Brandon Jones takes a look down to the inside of his teammate Denny Hamlin. Has to cut back into line. And here comes Harrison Burton on the bottom of the 21. Looks like Burton will take up the 4th position in the 95 car for Levine Family Racing. Entering turn number 2, the 11 car of Hamlin has closed right up to the back bumper of the 00 of Suarez. Trying to figure out a way around, might try the crossover entering turn number 3. 95 car of Harrison Burton to the inside of the 20 of Brandon Jones. Really sails it off into the corner, and now the 95 inching ahead of the 20 down the front straightaway. 95 car of Burton held the 3rd position at the start-finish line. Entering turn number 1, they are side by side. It looks like Burton is going to take up 3rd spot. He's got a legitimate shot at taking home his first career NASCAR Cup Series win here today. Came very close at Homestead, Miami last season in his part-time schedule, and almost won earlier this season at Louisville. Tyler Ankrum also followed suit to take up 4th spot in the 26 car for GMS Racing. 95 and 11 cars run bumper to bumper down the short chute into turn number 3. As the 95 car shows his hand up to the outside, tries the crossover now to the bottom. The 11 car of Hamlin's going to be able to draft with the 00 car of Suarez down the front straightaway, as Burton still tries to side draft him, now has to cut back into line behind the 11 car of Hamlin. 20 and 26 of Ankrum and Brandon Jones tandem drafting down into the first turn. Also, 23 car of Bubba Wallace getting one of his best runs of the season. Currently runs in 6th position for 2311 Racing. Denny Hamlin's race team finally starting to show some legitimate speed with their primary driver Bubba Wallace, and more importantly on an oval. 95 car of Burton moves up to the outside, trying to get around the 11 car of Hamlin. Now side drafts him up on the top, forcing Hamlin to the inside. And Burton, using some drafting help from the 00 car of Suarez, gets in tow behind the race leader. Forces Hamlin out by himself without any drafting help. Now entering turn number 1, the 26 car of Ankrum jumps to the inside to try and help Hamlin. Hamlin forces the issue on the 95 car of Burton. Still has yet to clear Burton down the Long Pond straightaway. 95 and 26 cars almost tandem drafting down the Long Pond straight. Looks like the 95 of Harrison Burton is going to take up the 2nd position down the short chute, as Hamlin had to back off on the exit of the tunnel turn. 26 car of Ankrum backed off just a little bit on the entry to turn 3. That let the 20 car of Brandon Jones to his inside. Jones, the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, getting some help from the 23 car of Bubba Wallace. That's going to move Jones up into 4th spot. 95 of Harrison Burton is closed right up to the back bumper of the 00 car of Suarez. 95 car of Burton looks like he's trying to set up a move for the next lap on the 00 car. 23 to the inside of the 26 car of Ankrum. Ankrum gives him the spot, and Bubba Wallace now up into 5th position. 95 car of Harrison Burton gets the run to the number 00 car of Daniel Suarez. Now side by side down the front straightaway. Suarez does not have very much drafting help. At the stripe, it is still Suarez to lead the lap. Down into turn number 1, 00 car still trying to clear him. Burton looks like he is not side by side as Hamlin went up to side draft him. Suarez still clears the 95 car of Burton through turn number 1. Down the Long Pond straightaway, here comes the 95 car of Burton back to the inside, getting the run from the 20 of Brandon Jones. Side by side for the top spot. Harrison Burton tries to send it in through the tunnel turn, but the 00 car of Suarez once again clears him. Hamlin goes a little wide on the entry to turn number 3. That lets the 20 car of Brandon Jones to his inside, but here comes Bubba Wallace up on the outside, getting the run from the 11 car of Hamlin, trying to work their way around the 20 car of Brandon Jones. Daniel Suarez still out front above the 95 car of Harrison Burton. Burton doing a good job staying right up on the back bumper of the 00. Looks like now we might have a 3-car breakaway, as the 95 and 00 cars have tandemed their way past the rest of the pack, and the 11 car of Hamlin has just barely hung on to their draft. Burton dropped off from the 00 car of Suarez just a little bit on the exit of turn number 3. That let the 11 car of Hamlin get right up to his back bumper. Now goes to the inside, entering turn number 1. But cuts back in line, as Hamlin did not have any drafting help, and Burton was able to work with the 00 car of Suarez. 20 of Brandon Jones is the driver who has really created the 3-car breakaway out front, as Jones is the highest car on older rubber. 21 car of Cindric right on the back bumper, the 23 car of Bubba Wallace, as they are forming up this second draft right now. 57 car of Larson, Coca-Cola 600 winner, has raced his way into 8th position. Here comes Burton. He's set up the move once again to the inside, the 00 car of Suarez. Down the front straightaway, still side by side. Where will Hamlin go? Hamlin's going to move up to the outside to try and push the 00 car of Suarez. And entering turn number 1, can Burton make it stick on the bottom? With just 10 laps to go, Harrison Burton inches ahead of the 00 car of Suarez and down the Long Pond straightaway. He currently holds the race lead. He's going to have to clear the 00 car entering turn 2, and he does it. Harrison Burton, now your race leader here at Pocono. He's going to have to hold on for probably the longest 10 laps of his life around the 2.5-mile tricky triangle here in Pocono to try and claim his first career Cup Series victory. 23 car of Bubba Wallace up on the outside of the 21 of Austin Cindric. Wallace still trying to hold the 5th position. 20 and 11 cars of Hamlin and Brandon Jones now battle for the 3rd spot. Brandon Jones on older rubber, but very competitive with cars on fresh tires. Makes you wonder if they would have put tires on the 20 car of Jones, how quick he would be. Suarez still in line behind the 95 car of Harrison Burton. Even knowing the large accident earlier in today's race has definitely whittled down the field quite a bit, we still have a good 10 cars in contention for the race win with less than 8 laps to go here at Pocono. The Pack Racing package has absolutely achieved what NASCAR wanted, close quarters racing action here at Pocono, although some of the safety concerns may come under scrutiny, most likely the drivers who were involved in that very scary accident, in particular Chase Elliott, who took a very hard impact into the inside wall and then ricocheted right up in front of the field. Almost the entirety of the lead lap cars running in a single file pack right now, like what you used to see at Daytona or Talladega when they would train up on the outside lane. Like I mentioned in the ride-along segment, these cars are naturally tight now with the amount of rear-end downforce, so that's why they're running these higher lanes than you've ever seen before, training right up on the top so they can keep their momentum up and stay in the draft. Here comes the 11 car of Hamlin, now side drafting the 00 of Daniel Suarez down the front straightaway. 00 and 95 cars of Suarez and Burton work together on the front stretch. Suarez once again clears the 11 car of Hamlin down into turn number 1. Bubba Wallace dropping back as he's been freight trained up on the outside. Cindric has taken up 5th position. Here comes the 11 car of Hamlin right up to the back bumper of the 00 of Suarez. Lap car right up in front of the race leaders. They might actually get to him before the close of today's race. 34 car of Michael McDowell is very far off the pace, just about a half a straightaway in front of race leader Harrison Burton. 00 of Daniel Suarez has dropped off from the back bumper of the 95 at the start-finish line this time by. The separation was about 2.5 tenths. Larson just got around the 89 car of Landon Castle. That moves the 57 up into 8th position, and Quinn Half actually followed suit to take up 9th in the 40 car for Chip Ganassi Racing. Now just 5 laps to go, this time by. Lap car right up in front of race leader Harrison Burton. Just about a quarter of a straightaway now separating Michael McDowell from Burton. The top 8 cars are separated by only 1 second here at Pocono. And it's still really anyone's race, especially with the lap car right up in front of the leaders. It's going to create a dicey situation entering the tunnel turn right here as Burton may have to check up on the exit. Into the tunnel turn, 34 car of McDowell right up in front of the 95. Does slow up the exit of the 95 car of Burton. Brings the 00 car to his inside. Suarez tries taking the look through turn number 3. 95 car gets down to the bottom. And this has really brought the field back together. We now have 5 cars under a blanket for the race lead. Harrison Burton still out front, Suarez in second. Hamlin running in third as the field now tries to split. Michael McDowell down the front straightaway. Bubba Wallace jumps down to the inside. He's going to take up 5th position. Austin Cindric has raced his way up into 4th position for the Wood brothers. Here comes the 00 car, runs it a little bit wide through the tunnel turn. That let the 11 car of Hamlin close the gap right up to the back bumper. 00 car of Suarez really sends the car off into turn number 3. Looked like he might try and set up a crossover on the 95 once again, but couldn't quite get the momentum on the exit of the final turn. Now takes a look down to the inside of the 95 car of Burton down the front stretch. Hamlin's just a little bit too far back to try and help the 95, but they're not side by side entering turn number 1. Suarez trying to roll the bottom. Now side drafts the 95 car on the exit of turn number 1. Down the Long Pond straightaway with less than 3 laps to go. Suarez side by side with Harrison Burton for the top spot. Entering the tunnel turn, 11 car of Hamlin moves down to push the 00 car of Suarez. Still side by side as Burton tries to hold him down on the exit of turn number 2. Entering turn 3, Suarez has to try and dive it in. 95 and 00 cars both slide up the racetrack just a little bit. Looks like Burton's going to hold the momentum off the top to clear the 00 car of Suarez. Harrison Burton still out front. Here comes the 21 of Cindric down to the inside, the 11 of Hamlin. A great run out of the 21 car late in the race. Cindric takes up 3rd spot, getting around the 11 car of Hamlin. Has a shot at taking home his first career Cup Series win. Cindric finished 3rd earlier this season at the Phoenix Raceway, trying to better that here today at Pocono. Another lap car right up in front of the race leaders. It's the 61 of Christopher Bell. 95 of Burton gaps the 00 car of Suarez just a little bit on the exit of turn 2 right there. Separation is now out to about 3 car lengths. On the exit of turn number 3, Harrison Burton now sees the white flag here at Pocono Raceway, trying to score his first career NASCAR Cup Series win for Levine Family Racing. Daniel Suarez trying to build the momentum with the 21 car of Austin Cindric. The gap at the stripe was 2.5 tenths once again. Daniel Suarez is running out of time. He's going to have to try and set up a slingshot on the 95 car of Burton. It looks like they might not get to the 61 car in time. Suarez through the tunnel turn, runs it a little bit deep, trying to build that momentum down into turn number 3 with a final shot at the 95 car into the last turn as the 21 and 11 cars are too far back. Here comes Suarez trying to set up the run on the exit of the final corner. Almost closes the gap, but it won't be enough. Harrison Burton takes home his first career NASCAR Cup Series win here at Pocono Raceway for Levine Family Racing. Burton finally does it, scoring his first career Cup Series win. Pocono has produced 2 consecutive first-time winners. As you recall, last season when we went here, Brandon Jones scored his first win, and now Harrison Burton takes home his first Cup Series win. Due to the field inversion, Harrison Burton will likely have to start outside of the top 15. But with a car this fast, I'm sure that he'll be able to get to the front rather quickly. We've actually had one car run out of gas after the checkered flag. It's the 21 of Austin Cindric. So they really pushed the fuel strategy on the Wood Brothers Racing number 21. And Harrison Burton has done it here at the Pocono Raceway, taking home his first career Cup Series win. Unfortunately for him, no burnout with today's victory because he has to bring that car back to run duel number 2. Daniel Suarez, unfortunately, does not score a victory here at Pocono after dominating duel number 1. Yet another race that has slipped out of the hands of the 00 team, but they have legitimate pace that, personally, I believe that they will score a win this season, and at the very least, they will be playoff contenders regardless of scoring a victory. Denny Hamlin brings the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing home in 3rd spot. Austin Cindric coasts the car home on fumes in 4th position. Bubba Wallace gets one of his best finishes of the year for 2311 Racing. Maybe that team has finally gotten the ship righted. Brandon Jones finishes in 6th spot. Tyler Ankrum in 7th. Quinn Half in 8th position. Landon Castle in 9th. And Anthony Alfredo rounding out your top 10. The lowest car in the field that will not be switching to a backup car is the number 99 of Ryan Preece. So that means we'll be seeing a top 14 car inversion, as the rest of the cars behind Preece will be switching to a backup before duel number 2. So Preece and Newman will compose your front row. It actually means with the full inversion, your top 3 starters will all be named Ryan, because it will be Preece, Newman, and Blaney. In your regular season point standings, with Kevin Harvick's second consecutive DNF, the point gap has dropped down to just 3 points, separating the top three. An incredibly tight battle in the closing races of the regular season championship. Harvick is still your point leader by now only 2 points above Denny Hamlin, who has moved up to second in the standings. Joey Logano dropped down to third in the standings, but he is only 3 points out of the point lead, so it is an incredibly tight battle right now. Chase Elliott, after finishing dead last here at Pocono in duel number 1, he still resides fourth in points, 38 points out of the lead. Larson picks up 3 spots in the standings, up to fifth in points, finally getting the season on track for LGR. Then Matt DiBenedetto drops down to 6th in the standings, 47 points out of the lead. Suarez moves up a full 5 spots in the points, up to 7th. He is 48 points out. Eric Jones drops down 2 to 8th position, 57 points out. Alex Bowman moves up 1 to 9th, 58 points out. And Brad Keselowski, his teammate, moves up 1 spot in the standings to 10th, 67 points out of the point lead. Tied with Tyler Reddick, but Keselowski gets the tiebreaker. Reddick unfortunately did not make the races here at Pocono. In your playoff standings, the drivers who are locked into the playoffs via their wins are Kevin Harvick, Brandon Jones, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, who will be coming back next weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Josh Bilicki, and Jan Magnussen. Now, what's really important about this list is Harrison Burton is 35th in points, so he is not currently guaranteed an automatic transfer into the playoffs, even with his win. Also outside the top 30 in the standings of a full-time driver is Anthony Alfredo. But drivers who are right on the cusp of dropping out of the top 30 include Jan Magnussen, who right now is only 29th in the standings, very close to dropping out of a playoff position, and Josh Bilicki, who resides 26th in the regular season points standings. Joey Logano is 64 points above the cutoff line. He is the best of the rest without a win. Matt DiBenedetto is 20 points above. Suarez now 19 points above. He was on the outside looking in coming into this race, but now Suarez, with his second place finish and domination over the early portions of the race, has driven his way into the playoffs at the moment. Eric Jones is 10 points above the cutoff line for JTG Doherty Racing. Alex Bowman is 9 points above the cut. And Brad Keselowski and Tyler Reddick are tied for the cutoff line, but Keselowski gets that tiebreaker, and Tyler Reddick is out because of it. Justin Allgaier, 15 points out of making the playoffs. Clint Boyer, 2019 Series champion, 21 points out. And Kurt Busch, the 2004 Series champion, is 22 points out of making the playoffs. And so we congratulate the number 95 team of Harrison Burton on their first win together in the 2021 season here at Pocono. And right after just a quick commercial break, we'll be back right here at the Pocono Raceway for duel number 2. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. Hello everyone, welcome back to Pocono Raceway. We are now gearing up for Gander RV duel number 2. And here is your starting grid for the second race. Obviously, we had a top 14 finisher inversion from duel number 1 to duel 2. And with that inversion, Ryan Preece is starting with the pole position above Ryan Newman and Ryan Blaney. Then Kyle Larson in 4th, Anthony Alfredo in 5th, Landon Castle 6th, Quinn Half 7th, Tyler Ankrum in 8th position, Brandon Jones in 9th, and Bubba Wallace rounding out your top 10. The drivers from 15th on back are starting in their finishing position from duel number 1. And keep in mind, because we are not having qualifying for this race, that means that we are once again determining a Busch Clash eligible driver by whoever sets the fastest lap in the race here at Pocono. And so now let's get down trackside for the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
But just like when we talked about the transporter, at the end of pit road, the last pit box is a timing line. So the last white line on pit exit is the line. Big thumbs up, my friend. Have a good time.
Ryan Preece leads the field out of turn number 3 and onto the front straightaway as the pace car hits pit road, getting ready for duel number 2 here at Pocono. And there's the green flag. 99 and 6 cars of Preece and Newman, fairly even on the restart. With this incredibly high downforce package, you got to make a lot of moves early in the run before the field starts to string out and you have to get in line. That's why Allgaier farther back, trying to go 3 wide on the bottom to make up track position. Down on the inside, Ryan Preece takes away the race lead off the 6 car of Ryan Newman. Ryan Blaney trying to take up second down the Long Pond straightaway, and the 12 car getting the push from the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Kurt Busch way on the bottom, farther back, almost onto the apron. With almost no drafting help down there, Ryan Newman has cleared Ryan Blaney off the top, getting a run from the 57 car of Larson out of the tunnel turn. Now through turn number 3, 12 and 6 cars once again side by side. Looks like the 6 of Newman's going to get the advantage as Ryan Preece will lead lap number 1. 38 car of Anthony Alfredo trying to go 3 wide down on the inside of both the 12 and 57. Entering turn number 1, Alfredo sends it into the corner. He's got some drafting help coming from Brandon Jones. They're going almost 4 wide, farther back. 26 and 21 of Ankrum and Cindric make contact, as the 6 of Newman still working in line behind the 99 of Ryan Preece. 3 wide for second now. Look at Brandon Jones down on the bottom. 6 car of Newman, though, will clear this group to retain the second position. 99 car for Trackhouse Racing still out front. Anthony Alfredo going for third spot. The winner at Sonoma earlier this season. Daniel Suarez in the 00 car after dominating the early portions of duel number 1. Has just raced his way almost into the top 5 in Duel 2. That car is on a rail here at Pocono. 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto going way out down to the bottom, trying to make up track position farther back in the field. 6 car of Newman still in second spot, working with the 99 of Ryan Preece, as the 20 and 00 cars of Suarez and Brandon Jones are cutting their way through the field down on the inside. They were some of the fastest cars in Duel 1. Entering turn number 3, the 20 car of Brandon Jones has just taken up third, now side by side with Newman for the second position. Side by side down to the start-finish line, it is Brandon Jones to hold second at the stripe. 00 and 26 cars down on the inside working together to try and advance the inside lane. Brandon Jones now up into second, running down the 99 car of Ryan Preece. Brandon Jones won Duel 2 at Pocono last season, scoring his first career win. Now Jones trying to take Duel 2 this season, side by side with the 99 of Preece. Trying to dive into the tunnel turn, but Suarez jumped up to the outside, but still not going to be enough for Preece as Brandon Jones takes away the race lead on lap number 4. New race leader here at Pocono. If Brandon Jones can take the victory here today, it would be his 3rd win of the season and 4th overall in his entire Cup Series career. You know, it's a real testament to our drivers in NASCAR's Cup Series that after such a terrifying accident yesterday, they come out here and compete like it was no big deal. Clinton Boyer, Chase Elliott are on the racetrack. Boyer currently runs in 32nd position and Chase Elliott in 39th. On the racetrack, trying to score points and cut their way through the field to have a shot at a good points day. And this is what I meant earlier by the field stringing out later on in a run. The 20 car of Brandon Jones is currently the leader above the 99 of Ryan Preece. And look at the field, more or less all run single file up on the outside lane. We still have quite a few battles for position, but the most organized line right now is right up by the wall. We currently have a battle for the 3rd position between Tyler Ankrum and Daniel Suarez down into turn number 1. Ankrum has some help coming from 2 Ganassi cars, those being Quinn Half and Justin Allgaier. On the exit of turn 1, Ankrum will take up the 3rd position in the 26 for GMS Racing. Now trying to challenge the 99 of Ryan Preece for 2nd. Still the 26 and 40 cars hooked up entering turn number 2. Ankrum will take up the 3rd position from the 00 car of Suarez. He still has drafting help coming from the 40 of Quinn Half down into turn number 1. Very close quarters action right here for 3rd position as the 26 went up to side draft the 00 of Suarez. Now forces his way to the inside of Ryan Preece. Contact between the 6 of Newman and 42 of Allgaier. Great job for Justin Allgaier to not lose the car on the exit of turn 1 as Ankrum takes up the 2nd position. The last 2 races at Pocono have produced first-time winners, those being Brandon Jones last season and Harrison Burton in duel number 1. Can Tyler Ankrum score his first career NASCAR Cup Series race win here at Pocono? We'll have to wait and see, but he's definitely got the car capable of doing it, especially if he can wear out the number 20 car of Brandon Jones, potentially force Jones to burn up his tires trying to keep that 20 car out front. 00 and 40 of Daniel Suarez and Quinn Half on the inside, tandeming, trying to get their way around the 99 of Ryan Preece. Priest pushes just a little bit on the exit of turn 1, lets Quinn Half to his inside, and Half takes up 3rd position. I tell you what, race number 2 here at Pocono has gone a whole lot cleaner than race 1. So far, no one's gotten in trouble, no large accidents, and they're keeping it very clean out front. And it's really proving that the high downforce package can work here at the Pocono Raceway, because we still have all 42 cars running. They're running in a draft. In fact, the car in last position is only 4 seconds behind the race leader at the moment. This is the kind of racing that NASCAR wants to see. Here comes Justin Allgaier. Takes a look down to the inside of Quinn Half and Daniel Suarez. Tried to go 3 wide right there, but sides with his teammate down on the inside. The Ganassi drivers obviously got that next generation car test. Even knowing the cars are significantly different, they got a little bit added track time in comparison. And they also were able to work together in groups, which is what the 42 is doing with the 40 right now. Here comes Suarez jumping up to the outside of the 26 car of Ankrum. Bit of an abnormal line right there to try and make up a spot by jumping to the outside, but looks like it might be able to work, as Suarez getting a run with the 42 car of Justin Allgaier. But here comes the 95 of Harrison Burton. Duel number 1 winner forces his way to the bottom. Contact, 21 hard into the inside wall, back in front of the field. Caution flag is out. Magnussen involved in it. Kevin Harvick getting some damage in it. Another significant pileup here at Pocono. The caution flag waves. This time the 14 car of Clint Boyer actually missed the incident, as the 20 car of Brandon Jones is still out front. 26 of Tyler Ankrum running in second. With Harvick getting in trouble, it might be an opportunity for Denny Hamlin to take over the point lead, as Brandon Jones leads the field back to the caution flag. Ankrum in second position, Suarez in third, 40 of Half in 4th, and 95 of Harrison Burton, the most recent winner in duel number 1, in 5th position. So here's what happened with the 21 car of Cindric. He's trying to get to the inside of the 95 as the 95 gets to the bottom of the 42. Then Hamlin sticks his nose in there as well, forcing a 4-wide pass on the exit of turn number 1. And this racetrack's just a little bit too narrow to be trying 4-wide maneuvers. The 11 car slides up, makes contact with the 21 of Cindric, turning him very hard down into the inside wall. Thank goodness for the safer barriers. He hit the wall going about 176 miles an hour. Slides up into the 12 of Blaney, 57 of Larson, 24 of Byron. Magnussen has absolutely nowhere to go in this accident. Magnussen's impact to the 21 makes the 21 car hop off the ground there for a few seconds. Harvick trying to make it through, makes contact with his teammate Cole Custer. Harvick is still in the race, but still with quite a bit of front-end damage. Then more cars pile in farther back. 53 car of Briscoe, 22 of Logano, 47 of A.J. Allmendinger. Unfortunate story for A.J. It's a little bit hard to see down the Long Pond straightaway due to all the smoke, but the number 3 car of Austin Dillon also got very significant damage from this. Looks like both JTG cars are going to be out of it after this one. The 71 of Josh Bilicki, the 77 of Justin Haley, the 96 of Drew Herring. Plenty of cars with terminal damage after this one. Bad luck continues for William Byron as well here at Pocono with significant damage already. And I'll tell you what, this doubleheader has been expensive. After duel number 1, a lot of teams had to go to backup cars. Now after duel number 2, a lot of teams are wrecked out of it for a second time. A lot of teams burnt through 2 race cars in these 2 races, so it's definitely not easy for the race teams after this weekend. As you can tell, Joey Logano will be out of the race here at Pocono, so he will not be able to challenge Harvick for the point lead. Jan Magnussen is now out of the race. That may drop him outside of the top 30 in the regular season point standings, which may open up the opportunity for Harrison Burton, who won Duel 1, currently resides in 5th position. Might open up the opportunity for him to race his way into the top 30 in the point standings and be guaranteed a spot into the playoffs. Now on lap number 11, Brandon Jones leads the entire field down pit road for the first time. And the first car off pit road is Brandon Jones, getting off in first above Daniel Suarez, then Justin Allgaier, Harrison Burton, and Tyler Ankrum. A great turnaround from duel number 1 for Martin Truex Jr., racing well within the top 10. And in duel 1, he wrecked out by lap 9. Kevin Harvick is back out on the racetrack. They had to cut the hood and front bumper cover off the 4 car, but he is still in the race. But unless Denny Hamlin gets involved in some kind of trouble and drops out, I think that Hamlin is going to take over the regular season point lead following duel number 2. The point gap coming into this race was only 2 markers, and that's only 2 positions on the racetrack, and Hamlin has Harvick beat by quite a few spots right now. And so the list of cars out of the race following that accident are Michael McDowell, Josh Bulicki, Justin Haley, Eric Jones, Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Jan Magnuson, Chase Briscoe, AJ Allmendinger, Austin Cindric, then Austin Dillon, and Drew Herring. This is the large concern about pack racing. This was even a big-time concern in the late 80s when we first put restrictor plates on the Cup Series cars, is it does slow the speeds down, running a high downforce or restrictor plate package or something along the lines of that, but it brings the field closer. So it's really a argument of what is safer, the lowered speeds and the tighter racing, or the high speeds and spread out racing. Because in tight pack racing like this, just like what we've seen in both dual races, when one driver makes a mistake, it can wipe out 20 cars. And we've seen that in both duels so far. Back in the day at Pocono, the speeds might have been higher when a driver would hit the wall. For instance, when Chase Elliott hit the wall in the front stretch in Duel 1, or Austin Cindric coming off of Turn 1 right here in Duel 2, they might have hit the wall going about 20 miles an hour faster, but it wouldn't have wrecked out quite as many cars. So it just makes you wonder what direction the sanctioning body should go in, whether it should be slow, close quarters racing, like what we see here, where you can have very large, significant wrecks, but due to the reduced speeds, it leads to no injuries, or should you have potentially risky incidents, but with a minimum of cars involved. It's something that the sanctioning body has to balance following these two races here at Pocono, because I'm sure it's going to be a huge talking point throughout the coming week. And entering Indianapolis, which is currently scheduled to utilize the same aero package and horsepower package that we are using here at Pocono. And even knowing we have some of the finest race car drivers in the world out here competing every single week, this is a new aero package on a racetrack that has never been driven this way before. This is pack racing at Pocono. So that's, in my opinion, why so many incidents have already occurred, is because the racing dynamic is so different from what these competitors are used to at this racetrack. Normally, Pocono, the field is able to spread out relatively easily. As I've mentioned before, we used to drive this place like a road course, heavy braking zones. You downshift into third to try and get back up into the rev range, but the racing here at Pocono this season with the high downforce and reduced horsepower package is so different. It's turned this place into a super speedway, and a narrow one at that. And I believe that is what has led to so many incidents. How about this? Ty Gibbs finally getting a shot at turning more than 10 laps in one race in a Cup Series car. He avoided the melee on the exit of turn number 1 and currently resides in 13th position. We're going to have to pay attention to that number 18 car on this restart. Brandon Jones leads the field onto the front straightaway and into the restart zone on lap number 14. There is the green flag. This time, Jones does not get a very good jump on the 00 car of Suarez. You see farther back the 24 car of Byron slightly off the pace as he was involved in that accident. Looks like he's just dropping back down on the inside. Entering turn number 1, the 42 car of Justin Allgaier tries to take a look down to the inside of Daniel Suarez. Single file down the Long Pond straightaway as the field runs in this freight train-like draft. Entering the tunnel turn, the front runners completely hooked up bumper to bumper. Farther back, the 43 car of Myatt Snyder looks down to the inside of the one of Kurt Busch. Try and make up a position with that move. Entering turn number 3, this is the heaviest lifting zone on the racetrack. This is when you can really try and set up a pass. Here comes Suarez trying to make a look down to the inside on the exit of turn number 3. And now we have a side-by-side battle between the 26 and 95. Ankrum clears the 95 car of Harrison Burton down the front straightaway. Suarez still side-by-side on the inside lane. Dives it into turn number 1. Trying to get up and side draft the 20 car of Brandon Jones. Can't quite do it and has to get back up into line in second. 42 car of Allgaier getting one of his best runs of the recent few races in third position right now. Ankrum still side by side now with the 88 car of Keselowski. As Suarez back down to the bottom of the 20 car of Brandon Jones through the tunnel turn. They almost made contact on the exit of turn number 2. 19 car of Truex takes up third. That's a backup car for the 19 team. And it is running this competitive early as Suarez back out front in the 00 car. They did not have to switch to a backup. He's still in the same car that he led a great portion of duel number 1 in. But down on the inside, Martin Truex Jr. using that backup car to his advantage. Side drafts the 20 of Brandon Jones. And it looks like through turn 1, Martin Truex Jr. is going to take up second. Truex still looking for his first win in more than 2 years on a racetrack not named Dover. And it looks like that win could potentially come here today. Entering turn number 2, the 26 car of Ankrum shoves the 19 car to the inside of Daniel Suarez. Suarez still without very much drafting help, but Ankrum jumps up to the outside and leaves Truex with almost no drafting help down on the bottom. Now through turn number 3, Truex is going to have some help coming from the 20 of Brandon Jones. The outside lane, though, is much more organized than the bottom. At the stripe, it is Suarez to lead this lap. And now down into turn number 1. 00 car still trying to clear the 19. Looks like he may have done it, but Truex going to try and dive it into turn number 1. Side by side for the top spot. Now on the exit of the first turn, Truex inches ahead down the Long Pond straightaway. Martin Truex Jr. has his teammate in line. Now he jumps up to the outside to clear the 00 car of Suarez. Martin Truex Jr., now your race leader. Here comes his teammate to the inside. 3 wide, farther back, well, almost, as the 43 car of Snyder jumps back into the inside lane. Brandon Jones down on the bottom, hassling the 00 car of Suarez. Looks like he's going to take up second. Now gets the run on the 19 car of Truex as Truex moves up the racetrack on the exit of turn number 3. Right now, though, the 00 of Suarez right on the back bumper of the 19 of Truex. Tandeming down the front straightaway. Here comes Denny Hamlin trying to force a move down on the bottom, but now gets back in the lane behind his teammate. Justin Allgaier now moves down to the inside lane, trying to get down in front of the 11 car of Hamlin. Can't quite do it at the moment, as Suarez resides in second position behind the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Denny Hamlin still trying to make up a position down on the inside, hoping to get around the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Looks like he can't quite do it, as Allgaier gets some help coming from the 26 of Ankrum down into turn number 3. After missing the race last week at Bristol, Brad Keselowski getting his season back on track here at Pocono, currently resides in 4th position in the Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. Here comes Suarez really pressuring the 19 car of Truex on the exit of turn 1. Ty Gibbs starting to cut his way through the field right now. Down the Long Pond straightaway. Gibbs hoping to make his way up into the top 10. 43 car of Snyder still down on the inside by himself, trying to get around Tyler Ankrum. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it this time by. Truex moves up the racetrack just a little bit. Suarez tries the crossover down to the inside, but Martin Truex Jr. is going to have drafting help from his teammate Brandon Jones entering turn number 1. Suarez with almost no drafting help down on the bottom, might be freight trained up on the outside. Entering turn 1, the 20 car inches ahead just for a little bit above the 00 car of Suarez. He has to back off on the exit of turn 1. Suarez, if he had drafting help down on the bottom, he might be able to pressure the 20 car, but he does not have any help down there, as the 20 being pushed by the 88 of Keselowski into the tunnel turn. Brandon Jones back up into second spot. 88 car of Keselowski trying to take up third into the third turn. On the exit of turn number 3, Brad Keselowski has taken up third spot. Suarez still being freight trained, trying to cut up in line in front of the 42, but could not do it in time. We are now in the closing laps of stage number 1. Daniel Suarez battles side by side with Justin Allgaier for 4th position. Allgaier has past experience at this racetrack in a high downforce package from the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2018. And now the 00 car of Suarez has cut up in line in front of the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Suarez now your 4th place runner, trying to run down the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. Truex leaves open some room down on the inside on the exit of turn 3. Side-by-side battle between Brandon Jones and Martin Truex Jr. down to the start-finish line. Truex led at the stripe, and almost no drafting help coming for either driver from behind. As there was such a battle for third spot, it separated their pushers. Entering turn number 1, Brandon Jones on the inside of Martin Truex Jr. Truex pushes a little bit on the exit of turn 1, and Brandon Jones is back out front. Daniel Suarez trying to push his way past the 19 car of Truex as well, and Suarez now up into second. Here comes the 26 of Ankrum, taking a very aggressive and low lane through the tunnel turn, has to back off and loses about 2 spots in the process. Now Hamlin and Keselowski battle for 4th position. That's a bit of an interesting story there after how those 2 seasons have gone. But fortunately, they keep it clean on the exit of turn number 3. 88 car of Keselowski taking up 4th position. 19 of Truex looks down to the inside of the 00 of Suarez down to turn number 1, but he cuts back up into line. Almost makes contact with the 88 of Keselowski as he almost got clipped. 00 car of Suarez still all over the back bumper of the 20 of Brandon Jones down the Long Pond straightaway. A bit of a 3-car breakaway now as the 88 of Keselowski drops off. Lap car up in front of race leader Brandon Jones. It's the 57 of Kyle Larson. Oh boy, contact farther back between Ty Gibbs and Kurt Busch, 2 representatives of Monster Energy in the Cup Series. That allows Clint Boyer to sneak by up on the outside. Very dicey moment there on the exit of the tunnel turn. Back down to the start-finish line. 1 lap to go in stage number 1 for the 20 car of Brandon Jones. Suarez tried challenging him on the exit of turn 3, but gets freight trained up on the top. Lap car of Larson in front of race leader Brandon Jones. And Jones going to get boxed in right here by the 57. Daniel Suarez tries to take advantage of it down on the inside, down the Long Pond straightaway. Daniel Suarez takes away the race lead off the 20 car of Brandon Jones due to the lap car of Kyle Larson. And lap traffic has perfectly opened up the door for the 00 car of Daniel Suarez to sneak by on the bottom and steal the stage number 1 victory as the 20 car is still stuck in line behind the 57. Ryan Newman has raced his way up into 3rd. Truex still stuck in line behind them, and Suarez wins stage number 1. Wins both stages in the dual races here at Pocono. Above now the 20 of Brandon Jones, the 6 of Newman, 40 of Half, and 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Ty Gibbs took advantage of the lap traffic and actually finished the stage in 7th position. And here's what happened between Kurt Busch and Ty Gibbs. Busch pushes on the exit of turn 2. Gibbs makes contact with him. Kurt Busch does a great job saving that car on the exit of turn number 2. And somehow, none of them lost it. Here's what happened with Daniel Suarez. The lap car of Kyle Larson perfectly blocks the outside lane for him. He shoots by down on the inside, clearing pretty much the entire field. Started the last lap in 2nd position, takes the lead off the 20 of Brandon Jones, drives away with the race lead and wins stage number 1. Also on the inside, we have Ryan Newman making up a full 7 positions back down to the start-finish line, and Gibbs doing the same. Newman going from 10th position all the way up to 3rd because of the lap traffic. And so now, after just a quick commercial break, we will be back right here at Pocono Raceway for the beginning of the final stage in duel number 2. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series, by Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval, and by Anthony's Online Simulation League. You know, currently the fastest lap of the race was set by Martin Truex Jr., the only driver who has set a lap time sub 51 seconds. So currently he will get a Busch Clash spot if he can hang on to being the driver with the fastest lap in today's event. Now Daniel Suarez leads the field out of turn number 3 for yet another single-file restart as the pace car ducks onto pit road. Now into the restart zone for stage number 2 here at Pocono. And there's the green flag. This time the 20 car of Brandon Jones gets a little bit of a jump on the restart on the 00, but here comes Newman to the inside of the 20. Newman has almost no drafting help down there. Most likely going to have to cut back up into the outside lane. Trying to send it in down to turn number 1, going for a second. Looks like Brandon Jones may be able to close the door. Not quite yet. Newman side drafting the 20 car down the Long Pond straightaway with Daniel Suarez clearing the field. Ryan Newman getting some help from the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Newman still side by side with Jones now down the short chute. Jones holding great momentum out of the tunnel turn to take up 2nd position once again. Quinn Half down on the inside of the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Half going for 4th position as Newman and Jones still battling for 2nd. Daniel Suarez, after coming so close to victory in duel number 1, obviously has the fastest car in duel 2, but can he bring it all together and take home the checkered flag here today? Now the 20 has taken up 2nd once again with the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. taking 3rd. Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas in line right there. Most likely will be working together over the course of the final 20 laps here at Pocono. The other 2 Gibbs cars, Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin currently reside within the top 10. 20 car of Brandon Jones getting a run on the 00 on the exit of turn 3. Now gets down to the inside, trying to make a look for the top spot. It does not look like it's going to be enough, as the 19 and 00 cars will freight train the 20 car up on the outside. Martin Truex Jr. looks like he will take up second. Entering turn number 1, almost makes contact with the 00 car of Suarez on the entry to the first turn. Up on the outside, Ryan Newman trying to take up the third position, but it looks like he gets the door closed on him by the 20 of Brandon Jones, so that means the two Gibbs cars just swapped their position because they're still in line bumper to bumper. Quinn Half still holds on to that fifth position in the 40 car for Chip Ganassi Racing. Behind Half in sixth position is the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Denny Hamlin has gotten around the 18 car of Ty Gibbs. That drops Gibbs down into 8th position. Now Half side by side with Ryan Newman on the front straightaway. These two battle for the 4th position. Quinn Half looks like he's going to have to cut back into line as there's a 3-car breakaway with the 00, 19, and 20 running bumper to bumper down into turn number 1. Now on the exit of the first turn, 00 cars still out front as the field pretty much has single filed out at the moment into this big, long drafting train. Now Ty Gibbs takes a look back down to the inside, the 11 car of Hamlin, but he opts to stay back in line. Now down to turn number 3, the heaviest lifting zone on the racetrack. Really opens up an opportunity to try and set up a pass, as it's the only really large off-throttle time that you have here. Martin Truex Jr. jumps down to the inside of the 00 car of Daniel Suarez. This time, Suarez does not have the amount of drafting help up on the top, but Brandon Jones does not side with his teammate. He goes with Suarez down to turn number 1. Here comes Truex. He forces the 00 car up off the bottom, side by side down the Long Pond straightaway. Truex was unable to clear the 00 car, however, so Suarez will be having the drafting help coming through the tunnel turn. On the exit of turn 2, the 00 car inches ahead just a little bit. He's going to have to try and clear him into turn 3, and it looks like he has done it, but Truex going to try and dive it into the corner. Backs it up just a little bit, trying to get the run off the exit, but can't quite do it, as here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones jumping up to the outside, trying to get into the draft of Suarez. Jones held second at the start-finish line. This battle for position has brought the 6 car of Ryan Newman back up into the front battle, with Newman taking up 6th down on the inside of the 40 of Quinn Half. Myatt Snyder, the 43 car for Richard Petty Motorsports, just got around Denny Hamlin. That moves the 43 car up into 7th position. Here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones. He has the run down to the inside of the 00 of Suarez. Can't quite commit to the move, but he's got the 19 car of Truex following him down. Brandon Jones going to have the run on the 00, entering turn number 1, now side by side for the top spot, with just 15 laps to go. Brandon Jones inches ahead down the Long Pond straightaway. Still can't quite clear the 00 car, trying to force him up the racetrack. Suarez going to have the advantage up on the outside lane, entering the tunnel turn. But Brandon Jones tries running him wide. Still side by side, now down into the very flat turn number 3, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. Suarez sends it off into the corner, but here comes the 20 back down to the inside. Now side by side onto the front straightaway. Brandon Jones, with almost no drafting help, drops out of contention for the top spot, with Suarez once again clearing him. 19 car of Truex taking up second. The front runners have started to single file out once again. Ryan Newman currently resides in 3rd position, trying to run down the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Still running nose to tail right up in front of the leaders. About half a straightaway ahead of them is the 57 car of Kyle Larson, the lap car. You know, how about Chase Elliott? Had that issue earlier in duel number 1. Absolutely pounded the inside wall with his primary car. We initially thought he was injured. Fortunately, all the safety features of modern Cup cars kept him from serious injury. And Chase Elliott currently resides in 8th position, outrunning Denny Hamlin at the moment. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. He did the crossover on the 00 car of Suarez on the exit of turn number 3, but this time Ryan Newman is there to try and help the 00 car entering the first turn, and it looks like Truex is not going to be there entering the corner. And how about this night and day difference for duel number 1 winner Harrison Burton? He currently resides in 18th position. Looks like he's going to drop down to 19th with Alex Bowman getting around him. The car is not handling very well in traffic right now, and with just 12 laps to go, they have no opportunity to work on it. Ryan Newman up on the outside of the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. down the short chute, battling for second. So I'm going to come down to turn number 3, side-by-side battle for the spot. Here comes Myatt Snyder, 3 wide on the bottom, but with no drafting help. So he's going to drop back as Truex clears the 6 car of Newman once again for second position. Newman still trying to force it on the outside lane. Now side drafting the 19 car down the racetrack. They get around the lap car of Kyle Larson as Larson once again blocks Brandon Jones. And now with the lap traffic disrupting the front runners, we have a 4-car breakaway. It is Suarez above Truex, Newman, and Brad Keselowski. Finally, the lead lap cars have started to get around the lap car of Kyle Larson. Myatt Snyder has taken up 5th. Chase Elliott has moved his way into 6th position. Battle side by side between Newman and Truex. Looks like Truex will cut him off on the entry to turn number 3. Daniel Suarez missed out on victory in duel number 1, but right now is absolutely dominating duel number 2 with now just 10 laps to go here at Pocono. Side-by-side battle for third spot. Brad Keselowski is going to take it off of Ryan Newman up on the outside. Myatt Snyder has officially taken up 5th. Chase Elliott in 6th. Justin Allgaier in 7th position. And Ty Gibbs getting a great run in 8th position in his second career Cup Series start in what will likely be his first ever full Cup Series race. Oh, trouble in the back. Large accident between the 61 and 89 cars. Caution flag is out. And believe it or not, that's actually the least amount of cars to be involved in any accident over the course of the 2 races here at Pocono. Just 2 cars went around on the exit off of turn number 3. Racing back to the start-finish line, Daniel Suarez is your race leader above Martin Truex Jr., then Brad Keselowski, Ryan Newman, and Myatt Snyder. So we are going to be set up with an incredible final few lap dash here at the Pocono Raceway with the high downforce package. I expect a lot of very dicey maneuvers on the restart. How about this story for Clint Boyer? As you recall, in duel number 1, he went for a very scary tumble in turn number 1, but now resides in 10th position, even though he's missing his rear bumper cover due to a checkup incident coming down pit road during the only pit stop that has been done so far. Boyer getting a great run, especially coming back from such a terrific incident. Once again, 4 wide just does not work. Ankrum puts the bumper to Hamlin, moves him up the racetrack. Then Castle and Bell try to fit the space on the inside. Bell makes contact with Castle, turns him down to the inside wall. Fortunately, he does not catch the opening of the wall. Slides up into the 61 of Christopher Bell, carrying them both up into the outside wall on the exit of turn 1, bringing out a late race caution. I'll tell you what, Bell almost got away with it because the 89 car almost did not make contact with the 61 coming back up the racetrack. But unfortunately for Bell, they both end up spinning around and getting up into the outside wall. But more significant damage on the 89 by far after contacting both walls. After that accident, the number 89 car of Landon Castle is officially out of the race. We also had a mechanical failure under caution, believe it or not. The 24 car of William Byron is now out due to an engine failure. Martin Truex Jr.'s lap time of a 50.959 is still on top of the speed charts, and because nobody will likely have to come down pit road for tires once again, I doubt that anyone is going to beat that lap time. And folks, lights are off on the pace car this time by. That means we are going to go green with just 5 laps to go here at Pocono. And an unfortunate story for the number 50 team of Kaz Gralla, currently running in 9th position. He reports that he has a tire going down, and the lights are off on the pace car this time by. So this is going to eliminate any chances of Kaz Gralla getting a good finish. Very unfortunate for the number 50 team at RCR after having such a good run going here at Pocono. Daniel Suarez leads the field out of turn number 3 as the pace car hits pit road. Now into the restart zone as Kaz Gralla obviously comes down pit road. Green flag is back out. This time, Suarez gets a pretty large advantage on the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Ryan Newman trying to set up a move down into turn number 1 On the inside of the 88 of Brad Keselowski, looks like he may set back in line on the exit of turn number 1. 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. right up on the back bumper of the 00 car of Suarez. Very close quarters racing in a single file drafting line right now as Myatt Snyder gets moved up the racetrack just a little bit by Chase Elliott. Almost lost it on the exit of turn number 2. These two battling for 5th position. Here comes Newman to the inside of the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. Ryan Newman trying to take up 3rd position. Here comes Snyder down to the bottom to help him. And Martin Truex Jr. side by side with Daniel Suarez for the top spot down the front straightaway. Truex going to have a little bit of help coming from Newman, but Newman jumps up to the outside lane to take up 3rd. Here comes Snyder down on the bottom. 19 and 00 side by side for the top spot. Martin Truex Jr. takes the lead away. Here comes Myatt Snyder down on the bottom, getting a large run on the 00 car of Suarez. Can't quite do it, though, as Daniel Suarez beats him down into turn number 2. Suarez still in 2nd, Snyder in 3rd, and Newman down to 4th. Entering turn number 3, here comes Newman trying to pressure the 43 car in the final turn. Now jumps down to the bottom, but Newman will not have very much drafting help down there. It looks like Snyder will be able to defend the position. Up on the outside lane, getting a push from the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. Look at this, tandem drafting down into turn number 1. Suarez hooked up with the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. As long as he can break the draft to the cars behind, he's going to have a very significant advantage coming into turn number 3 because he can try and set up a move on the front straightaway. But that will only be possible if the 43 car of Snyder does not catch up in time. Here comes Snyder, really closing the gap right now. Almost right up to the back bumper of Daniel Suarez. Here comes a move entering turn number 3. Suarez has a run. Takes a look up to the outside. Now to the bottom goes Myatt Snyder, going for 2nd position. Now just 2 laps to go here at Pocono Raceway. On the front straightaway, the 88 car of Keselowski battles side by side with the 43 of Myatt Snyder. Looks like Snyder's going to take up 3rd entering the corner. Daniel Suarez doing everything he can to try and figure out a way around the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. Finished 2nd to Harrison Burton in duel number 1, trying to take home the victory in duel 2. Now entering the final turn with just 2 laps to go. Suarez moves up the racetrack, might try a crossover on the exit of turn number 3. Got a pretty good separation above the 3rd place runner, Myatt Snyder. There is the white flag here at Pocono. Here comes Suarez down to the bottom. Side by side, entering turn number 1 here at the Pocono Raceway. Daniel Suarez moves up the racetrack to try and side draft the 19 car of Truex. Truex has to back off. Side by side battle on the exit of turn number 1. Daniel Suarez trying to clear the 19 car, and he's done it. Suarez now out front here at Pocono Raceway. Martin Truex Jr. not giving up. All over the back bumper of the 00. A little bit of separation right there on the exit of turn number 2. Martin Truex Jr. pushed on the exit of the corner. Now into the final turn for Daniel Suarez. No pressure from behind. Suarez out of turn number 3. Finally gets it done. Daniel Suarez will win duel number 2 here at Pocono, scoring his first win of the 2021 season, solidifying a spot into the playoffs. Martin Truex Jr. once again narrowly misses out on victory in a last lap pass by Daniel Suarez to take home the win here at Pocono Raceway. I can't name too many Pocono races that have come down to a last lap pass, but a phenomenal performance by Daniel Suarez over the course of both duel races. Narrowly missed out on taking home the win in duel number 1, and he finally gets to take home the checkered flag here in Gander RV duel number 2 at Pocono. And so Daniel Suarez has done it, taking home his first win of the season in the 00 car for Starcom Speed Station. Martin Truex Jr. once again misses out on victory in a close one here at Pocono Raceway. Myatt Snyder gets a fantastic 3rd place finish for Richard Petty Motorsports. Brad Keselowski brings the 88 car home in 4th, a great rebound from his last 2 races. Ryan Newman with another good 5th place finish in the Roush Fenway Racing Ford. Chase Elliott, after suffering a very terrifying accident in duel number 1, comes back in Duel 2 and finishes in 6th position. Remember that he started dead last in this duel. Justin Allgaier brings the 42 car home in 7th position. Ryan Preece, who started on the pole here in Duel number 2 due to the top 14 inversion, finishes in 8th position, one of the best finishes for Trackhouse racing so far. Clinton Boyer, after going for a horrific tumble entering turn number 1 in Duel 1, brings the 14 car home in Duel 2 in 9th position. A great rebound right there. And Ty Gibbs brings the 18 car home in 10th position in his second career NASCAR Cup Series start. The 18 car will be driven by Kyle Busch, once again starting next weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr., his fastest lap of a 50.9 did in fact stick, so that will give him a Busch Clash starting position in 2022 at the Daytona Road Course. And finally, Kevin Harvick has lost the point lead in the regular season standings. Following the race here at Pocono, Hamlin got a relatively good finish. Harvick got involved in trouble earlier on in the Cindric incident, so now Harvick has dropped down to 2nd in the point standings, but he is only 8 points out of the point lead. Hamlin would likely have a much larger point lead if he wouldn't have missed 2 races already this season, but believe it or not, they have the exact same amount of wins, somehow the exact same amount of laps led, with 58 laps led. That's not something you see very often. But Denny Hamlin has 3 more top 5s than Kevin Harvick. Even knowing that he has less top 10s than Harvick, those top 5s is what has brought Hamlin to the top of the list. Joey Logano still sets 3rd in points, 21 points out of the lead. Chase Elliott with a great finish here at Pocono, rebounding from his horrific accident in Duel number 1. Currently resides in 4th in the point standings, 25 points out of the point lead. Daniel Suarez with his win here at Pocono picks up 2 more spots in the standings, now to 5th in the points, 28 points out of the lead. Kyle Larson drops down 1 spot in the point standings to 6th. He's 53 points out. Also 53 points out is Alex Bowman, who is 7th in the point standings. Larson gets the tiebreaker with his win in the 600. Matt DiBenedetto drops down 2 spots in the standings to 8th in points. He is 54 points out of the lead. He is tied with Brad Keselowski, both setting 54 points out of the point lead. DiBenedetto gets the tiebreaker with an additional top 5. Martin Truex Jr., following the race here at Pocono, picks up 3 spots in the standings, up to 10th position, 55 points out of the point lead. Keep your eyes on Truex as he continues throughout this season. He is still yet to get a contract extension from Joe Gibbs Racing. In your playoff standings, you might notice one name absent. After DNFing in both races here at Pocono, Jan Magnussen has actually dropped to 33rd in the point standings. So that means that he is not guaranteed a spot in the playoffs with his win at Palm Beach. So currently, Denny Hamlin, Brandon Jones, Chase Briscoe, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez with his win here at Pocono, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Josh Bilicki are all locked into the playoffs with their wins. Harrison Burton, Anthony Alfredo, and Jan Magnussen are all drivers who have won races this season who are not in the top 30 in the standings. So that is why they are not automatically given playoff contending spots. Joey Logano is the best of the rest still, 59 points above the cutoff line. Alex Bowman is 27 points above. Matt DiBenedetto is 26, as well as Brad Keselowski. Justin Allgaier is 8 points above the cutoff line, and Eric Jones is only 7 points above. Clinton Boyer is 7 points out of making it. In the number 14 car for Stewart-Haas Racing, Kurt Busch is 13 points out of making the playoffs. Tyler Reddick is 14 points out. And finally, Quinn Half in the 40 car for Chip Ganassi Racing is 26 points out of making the playoffs. And so, folks, we hope that you have enjoyed our telecast of the 2 races here at Pocono Raceway, the Gander RV Duels. The next time you'll be seeing us will be on Post Tech midweek as we go over the events at Indianapolis Raceway Park as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series makes their long-awaited return to that famed short track. And the next time you'll be seeing us for a full NASCAR Cup Series race will be at the Brickyard, the 4th leg of the Drive for 5 Challenge, where any competitors of those races, if they win 3 out of the 5, will win a $1 million bonus. And also, if NASCAR decides to continue utilizing this high downforce package even after some of the scary incidents here at Pocono, we will most likely be seeing pack racing for the first time at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. And so now we congratulate Daniel Suarez and company scoring their first win of the 2021 Cup Series season here at Pocono, locking themselves into the playoffs at Darlington.